just over the years, you're going to find sounds that really work for you. So create folders and have your go-to sounds. You know, there's loads of tracks that I've released that have the same like kick drumming. Do you know what I mean? If it works for you, that's your sound, then, you know, there's nothing wrong with using that sound again. And it really helps your workflow as well. It makes things a lot more quicker.
Hey, I'm Graham Farmer, founder of Dance Music Magazine, Data Transmission. Before we jump into today's video with today's artist, one thing you can do to help me get this video out there and play the YouTube algorithm game is give the video a like and subscribe to the channel because it helps this video get more reach. Let's dive into today's 5 things. I hope you enjoy them. I have a series on YouTube called 5 Things Producers Need to Know. I thought I'd get you on that series.
Wicked.
And ask you your 5 things. Now, these can be, these are your 5, like they're different to everyone else's 5, which is why I love this series. And it can be production, it can be just producer, it can be DJ, it can be life advice, like, go for it. Hit me up.
Love that. Love that. Yeah.
Number 1 then.
So obviously, like everyone, you know, everyone's different. Everyone works in different ways. But personally, what I've learned over the years, with production is one of the first things I'd say is like sound choice from the beginning is really important when you're starting a track. So over the years, you're going to find like the sounds that really work for you. Like you're going to find like the kick drums that you really like, or, you know, the hi-hats and the claps. And it's important to build like folders for them sounds so that you can go back to them and use them again. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, using sounds that you've used before more than once. That's absolutely fine because that's how you create your own sound. But having like good quality sound choice from the beginning is really important for having like an overall good quality sounding track right at the end. And it will give you less to do. There'll be less to do then in terms of like you know, mixing down. There'll just be less to do because all the sounds, if they're sonically really strong from the beginning, then when it all comes together, they sound good. You know, the track sounds really good at the end. So number 1 would be sound choice from the beginning. Really think about like the direction of your track that you're producing and how you want it to sound. And what I would say as well is reference your track to like other tracks, you know, on, say it was like a label that you really wanted to release on. Yeah, reference it. If, you know, listen to like the different hi-hats or the different claps, and yeah, just build your library of sounds, and that will really help you when it comes to the end part of the process and mixing down. There'll be a lot less to do.
Okay, cool.
Sonically, it'll be a lot stronger.
Okay, cool. Wicked. That's a great one. We haven't had that one before. Wicked. I love this.
Oh, have you not? Okay.
No, love this.
That's good.
Right, so we're into that was our first one of our 5 things producers need to know.
Right, yes. So number 2?
Number 2
was kind of like, I mentioned it slightly in the first point, but create folders for when you're producing. Just over the years, you're going to find sounds that really work for you. So create folders and have your go-to sounds. You know, there's loads of tracks that I've released that have the same like kick drumming. Do you know what I mean? If it works for you, that's your sound, then, you know, there's nothing wrong with using that sound again. And it really helps your workflow as well. It makes things a lot more quicker. If you've got like the go-to folders, you know, you can just literally go to them and it makes the whole process like a lot more efficient and a lot more quicker. So create go-to folders is number 2.
Wicked. Number 3.
So number 3 is, I kind of mentioned it earlier as well, but it was about finding that main sort of hook or the main sort of lead sound that's really going to make your track stand out. Find that first because it will really help to like inspire the rest of the track. Instead of like, say you started a project and, you know, what I always do as well is I build an 8-bar loop first, and I build all the elements into that 8-bar loop. And I wouldn't arrange the track until I'm 100% happy with all the elements in that 8-bar loop. So what I'll do is I'll create the idea, and then I might give my ears a bit of a rest, like a day, you know, come back the next day, and I might change different sounds and replace different bits. What I would say is, say you were, for example, building like the drums first. I don't know, it's just the way I just find it a lot more efficient if I found the main hook first, because I find like if I build all the drums, I'm writing drums before I'm like writing the hook, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you can do it that way. I'd say there's no right or wrong way, but I've just found when I started producing, I used to build like all the drums first and then try and find the other elements after, like the main sort of hook sounds and the main, might be the vocal, the synth or the lead, and that was harder for me. And what I've just found is to make the whole process a lot more efficient, just do a bit of research first, spend time finding some cool samples that you might want to like recreate. You might find a cool vocal sample that will really just start to get an idea going. And when you finish that idea, then you can reach out to singers and say, can we recreate something along this vibe? Change the lyrics, change the melody, but we want to just keep to that kind of vibe from that sample. So yeah, number 3 is when producing, start with the main hook first, or that lead sound or that main melody that's really going to make your track stand out and give it character.
Wicked. So that was number 3. Let's get into your number 4 of your 5 things producers need to know.
4 is don't stress if a track is not coming together how you had hoped. If you hit a barrier, don't force it. Don't feel like you need to finish that off or you need to keep pushing and working on that. Just push that to the side and let your creativity just flow naturally. Because there'll be some days where I'll spend a day and I might lay down like 3 solid ideas that I really like, that I believe that will, I can make into like full tracks. And, I'm really buzzing about them. And then there'll be other days where it's just not happening in the studio. I'm trying things out. It's not sounding how I want and nothing's coming together. And what I've learned over time is that's absolutely fine. And it's just part of the creative process. It's not anything to do with your ability. You might have a day where loads of ideas come to you. So just take that day out, take that day away. If you're not feeling it, if you're hitting a barrier, if you're hitting a wall, just come away from your computer, come away from the screen, do something different, break the day up, go for, some exercise, go and meet some friends, and you'll feel so much better after. And then when you come back to it, when you come back to your computer, you'll just feel a lot more energized and a lot more sort of, just refocused. So just don't put pressure on yourself. Don't stress if it's not working that day in the studio, because there'll be loads of other days where it really does work.
Okay, and our final one, number 5.
But I would say the more time you put into something, it sounds really like obvious, but it's like the more time you put into production, the better you'll become. So I just think that is the formula. I don't think it's like you've got to be a certain way or you've got to, I'm not sort of musically trained in terms of production. I've self-taught myself and, I know the basics in terms of music theory and, just having an ear for something. So what I believe that I have done is just put a lot of time in, just put a lot of time into your craft. And if you really enjoy it and you love it anyway, then you're going to want to, and that's going to come naturally anyway. The more time you spend on something, the better you'll become. And just set yourself goals as well. That's something that I'm sort of like a big believer in. This is sort of like number 5, but then it's also going on to like a 6th one as well.
Oh, a Brucey bonus.
A little Brucey bonus there.
Oh, Brucey bonus for the speedboat.
Love that. So just set yourself goals. So I've done this literally from day one. You don't, obviously we all have like long-term goals, but don't like overwhelm yourself with like having those long-term goals and having to reach them so fast, because that's not realistic. What I would say is just break down what your goals are and work on them. It might be, say you had like, I don't know, a year goal of like releasing on a certain label, then you might want to break that down into like months. Like, how am I going to get closer to that end goal? This is what I'm going to do every single month. I'm going to spend X amount of hours in the studio. I'm going to spend X amount of time reaching out to new vocalists, because the more people you reach out to, the more chance you've got of something materializing from that. And yeah, like I've just always done that, broken it down into like monthly goals, weekly goals, and even daily goals, like literally so sort of specific. And if you're hitting them goals every day, there's nothing to say that you won't achieve that bigger goal, because you'll look back in like, you know, a couple of years will go by and you'll be like, wow, I've achieved that. I achieved what I've written down. Do you know what I mean? I wrote that down. I've worked on it every day. I've worked on it every week, and I've stuck to it. I've dedicated myself. And before you know it, like you will have it, you will achieve what you want. So that's the Brucey bonus, number 6.
I love that. I love that. I'm such a big fan of goals. How, like, when you're saying monthly goals, I'm guessing you're kind of keeping them very narrow, and like how many, like, let's go into actual Bruce, you know, how many goals are you setting yourself a month? Like,
that's a good question. I wouldn't say there's like a specific number, I suppose. It's like, it just depends on like what I'm sort of doing at that time. Like, I remember before going into this year, I was like, I really want to hit 1 million streams on a track.
Yeah.
But I wrote that goal down as it was like my New Year's resolution goal. Like I had, I don't know, maybe say there was like 10 when I went into 2021. I wrote my New Year's resolutions down, and one of them was to hit 1 million streams on a track. And I honestly thought that wasn't going to happen anytime soon. I think when we released, it was Tell Me Something, that got released like April or May, and then it was like a month after that. So it was achieved within like the first like 6 months. So yeah, I don't know. I think I always write down different amounts of goals, but you've got to kind of, they've got to be like, you want to set yourself goals that are like very out there and ambitious, but then also you want to be quite realistic with it as well. I think that comes down to breaking it down, because you can have them 5-year goals, but if you're not specifically working on them, or you have no strategy or no direction every month or every week, then you're going to be all over the place. Do you know what I mean? So you have to like be disciplined, and you have to stick to what it is you want to achieve.
Weren't those 5 things great? Let me know in the comments which is your favourite and your biggest takeaway from this video. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you get notified every time we drop new videos. YouTube is now going to recommend another video to help your learning further. I hope you enjoy that one. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, bye-bye.